Hey. It's Wednesday. It's 7 o'clock. You know what that means. Jeremiah Bullfrog cuts it up. Let's do it one more time, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Jose and I are super excited to put on this little stream for you guys. Shit's getting weird outside, so I figure, we'll entertain you. Sipping on a cocktail tonight, try to ease on into the show. Hope everyone's doing well. We got a doozy tonight. We're doing NoodleHead Part Deux. That's 2. If you weren't with us for the first NoodleHead, the first iteration, we ran down a lot of the basics of pasta. We're going to touch upon a few of those points again, but we're going to go a little more advanced. It is stuffed pasta. We've got a couple really cool shapes to show you. We want everybody to interact. I want everybody to leave this class, this stream, this show, thinking that you guys can put together at least one stuffed pasta shape. So you too can channel your inner Nonna and get down with a little stuffed pasta. Shout out to Neza. Thanks for joining us. If you guys are tuning in, I need you guys to drop it in the comments. Let me know you're live. Let me know you're tuned in. Let me know you're turned on. Let me know you're here for the show, and we're about to do this thing. It's an interactive performance, and my dude Jose is going to drop a little intro for y'all. Hey. Here we go. It's Wednesday. Live from the lab. 7 o'clock. Isolation station. The isolation station. What's good? You know what that means. Here we go. Go. Another class. Jeremiah Bullfrog with you, rocking it out on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Just like Jeopardy, or depending on where you are, could be Wheel of Fortune. Any route. Let's get into it, guys. Let's start talking about pasta. Shout out to Brian. Shout out to Lenny. Shout out to Michael Hoff and Julia. Thank you guys for joining. I always appreciate it. So I just wanted to run down a general outline of what we're going to be doing, give you guys a little insight into the show. You may see the backgrounds not quite looking NoodleHead-ish this go around, and there's good reason for that. I've got a super chefy inspired dish this evening for y'all. I've got the old chef coat on. Shout out to Michelle. Thanks for tuning in. Great to have you back. So we're going full chef on you guys again. There's a bunch of dudes out there making pasta and teaching you how to make pasta. What I wanted to make sure I deliver to you is something that maybe you've never seen before. You've probably never seen before because I've never seen it before and I've never done it before. But I was very inspired. So this is the way it kind of broke down in my head, just to kind of like give you a. That's the sound of my ideas rolling around in my noggin. And so this is the way the dish came about for today. the first part of the dish was I had all these beautiful short rib bones. If y'all remember from last week, we rocked out the tomahawk short ribs, right? So you have all that beautiful beef bone, and it's full of marrow. The bones of the animal are they're full of unctuous deliciousness that you need to extrapolate. And so I don't like anything to go to waste. If anybody's ever worked with me before, if you ever seen me cook in the kitchen, I try to get everything out of the food. It's a big part of like respecting the food, especially the animals or even the vegetables. If it's nose to tail, if it's seed to stem, I very much like to use the whole thing. So going back to the short ribs, I had all these bones left over, and then we had some of the tail cuts. So, like going around in my head, I was like, what could we do with this? We don't want it to go to waste. How can we even, parlay it into the next show? And so, boom, light bulb clicked. What better way to stuff pasta than with, cooked short rib? If we braise those like sort of scrappy pieces that have more sinew and fat, it's really delicious braised. And then, what kind of popped in my mind, in my chefy mind, right, is because that's the way things work up here, was tortellini in brodo, right? The classic Italian dish. If you're in the north, you're eating stuffed tortellini, right? Like the little hats, the little Pope hats. You're eating those with like a stuffed meat. But then I was like, you know what? Wait, hold up, guys. Hold the phone. Hold on for just 1 minute. Stuffed pasta, tortellini in brodo, you can't eat that in the summer. That's a wintertime dish. I mean, it's like 90 degrees out here. If you're eating that, you're going to die. I'm pretty sure that's the way that works. So how do we take tortellini in brodo, right? Tortellini in broth, and how do we lighten that up? So again, the old brain starts firing away, thinking of all these ideas. How do we make this dish work? One of my favorite soups to eat, and this is something you can eat when it's 90 out and 100% humidity, just like our Miami spring, fall, and summer, right? There's only 2 seasons here. It's either raining or it ain't. Michelle knows what I'm talking about. So, pho, right? You may know it pronounced as pho. That's not correct. It's pho. I may even not be saying it quite with the inflection correctly. The Vietnamese soup that is ever so popular all across the country is a beautiful beef bone broth that you eat with sort of like these rice stick noodles, and it has tons of garnishes that are very fresh and bright. There's just something about that light beef broth with a ton of acidity and brightness and all these fresh herbs that pop in it, like basil and cilantro. And then you get this little dish. You can add your own little garnishes like mung bean sprouts. You squeeze a lime in there. You put a little chili sauce. This is what I'm talking about. This is the inspiration for today's episode. So although you may not be able to recreate this dish, I think everyone's going to get a kick out of me rocking it out. And we're going to do a version of pho brodo with short rib capelletis. And so the capelletti is the stuffed pasta, right? That brings us to NoodleHead Part 2. Again, if you haven't seen NoodleHead 1, check the description below. Do your homework, y'all. Learn it up. So we're going to do the pasta. We're going to get into it, guys. We're going hands in. I'm going to make some dough. We'll do it again. I have an extra special, sort of like extra credit treat for you guys. An old sous chef of mine, Craig Giunta, out in LA. Shout out to Craig. My dude is working at Restaurant Felix, way out west in like Santa Monica. Felix is the premier restaurant in the country doing pasta by hand, and that means like granny style. This is a large rolling pin that I have in my hands, and you roll out the pasta with just a rolling pin, your dough, and a beautiful wooden board. So we're going to see Craig's participation today. Again, shout out to Craig for throwing that together. You know, the Giunta is strong with it. I was super excited to learn. I actually learned a new shape as well. It's tortelli, and he made it with a beautiful ricotta. So we're going to see that, guys. And I've dropped that recipe in the description below. So I know you guys can do this this tortelli with ricotta, and then I'll show you a couple, probably a couple little variations on the tortellini. Right, so you have capelletti, which is like a little hat. You have the tortellini. And tortelli. These are all from Emilia-Romagna region, sort of like the Tuscan right there in the middle. It's like stuffed pasta capital of the world. Each village that you go to, it could be the same name, but the dish changes very, very slightly. So I've been rambling along for quite some time. Shout out to Pam and Ira. Welcome, welcome. Queens in the house. Sipping on my cocktail. You guys know the inspiration for today, and let's jump right into it, guys. Let's take a look at the old tortelli cuts. All right. Wasn't that super cool? If you guys are just joining me again, here we are. Jeremiah Bullfrog Cuts it up. NoodleHead Deux. We're going through stuffed pastas today, guys. I just want to give you the rundown on my dish. You got to check out Craig Giunta out in LA, running down the tortelli. You know, it's a beautiful sheeted pasta. You saw him rolling it out with a mozzarella by hand. You guys can make that recipe. You know, the gist of it is that you're making sheets of pasta, and then you're using a piping bag to sort of dot along the way. You're folding it over, and then you're folding it again, and then you're cutting it. I'm going to show you a slightly different version of it. But again, guys, you guys can always come back to this stream here, same link, and check out the recipes when you're ready to try them. And if there are any questions, fire them away at me. Jose and I are going to do our best to make sure you guys, you know what's going on. Jose, I had a slight technical difficulty. I'm about to jump into making this dough. I've got to make a quick fix, so drop some tunes, please, real quick, while I make a quick repair.
Hey, kids on the Hey, let's make us some pasta. A bibide buppe.
Here you go. Tummy feeling hostile, craving for some pasta. Never made your own, well trust the chef's gotcha. Take a deep breath, pour a glass of wine. Check in with the lesson from a good friend of mine.
Okay, here we are, guys. Sorry about that. Slight technical difficulty, and it's a live show. You know, this kind of thing happens, but we roll with the punches. Shout out to Nathan Cotter, that original song on the old Noodle Tunes. You may see some more animations at some point in the show. But let's get into cooking, you know? That's why you guys are here, right? Gonna start making a little pasta dough. We've done it before. I'm gonna do it again. I want to make sure everybody at home can make fresh pasta. So Jose, let's go down to Camp 2 Town. All right, there it is. A little better lighting for y'all. So in the bowl, I have 300 grams of 00 flour. You'll hear me preach about the wonderment of Italian flour. It is super fine. This is what you want for pasta. It is the red bag. I'm sorry. It is the red bag of Caputo, and that's for pasta. I'm going jet black, guys. I love this squid ink powder. You can also use activated charcoal, or you don't have to use it at all. You know, if you're making an egg dough, sometimes something that's really cool is if you add a little turmeric, a little powdered turmeric, it'll get you a little more yellow. Any kind of powdered vegetable works really, really well for pasta. I've got 3 eggs, so it's 1 whole egg to every 100 grams of pasta. That is your ratio, right? So for fresh pasta, you don't even need a recipe. If you just memorize that 1 egg, 100 grams. As I always preach, you guys should all have a scale that allows you to measure grams. So we're super specific. And then you can see I'm just incorporating my eggs into my flour. I like to use these bad boys for this stage of the dough. If you have a fork, that works as well. I like to use this bowl. You know, you can certainly lay it out on your board and make a well and start pulling the eggs in. That is a time-tested method as well. I think this method works. It works for me. I always rock this method. You know, especially if you're just starting out, you're going to probably want to use a bowl as well. It just keeps all your eggs in one basket, huh? Hey, dad jokes. So here we go. We're incorporating the eggs in, right? So you're getting like this shag here. We're starting to get a nice massive dough. The only liquid that you really need for this pasta, right? Stuffed pasta is a super silky dough. It comes together really, really well just with eggs. You know, egg white is it's full of basically water. You know, you'll see as I start getting a little, the dough starts coming together a little more, I may just wet my hands. That's another trick. You very rarely are going to have to add into that dough any more liquid. It's not a bad habit to get into, to have a water source near you. You know, for some reason, if you're not making your pasta dough near a sink, just put a little, and by a little I mean it's less than 100 grams of water, or less than 100 milliliters, right? So I know I've mentioned this again, is when you're scaling water, so volume to metric on water is the same. So 100 milliliters is 100 grams. Or something easier for you guys to remember, a pint is a pound, the world around. Right? Jeremiah Bullfrog, little tip of trick for you. So coming back to cam 2 real quick, so you can see how this is coming together. You can see our color, right? Take note of the color here. It is quite gray. As this starts to hydrate, right, the liquid is going to hydrate our flour, and we're going to forcefully incorporate these two together. It is going to turn jet black. And so I like to, at this point, just take the end of the flour out of the bowl, right? You can see there's really not much left in there at all. Onto the board now. And when you're making fresh pasta, you want a wood surface, guys. This beautiful booze block that I use, it's the cornerstone of my kitchen. It's the cornerstone of any nutritious kitchen, to be honest with you. Get yourself a giant cutting board that could sit right on your counter. You know, if you have granite or stone countertops, it sort of robs the dough of temperature. What you're doing is you're building up some heat in the dough with all this friction. Sorry, Jose, I'm skewed off here trying to have a conversation. Yeah, there you go. I was trying to be a little more subtle about it, but I'm not kneading the dough yet. I'm still incorporating all the flour in. You know, you have sort of this shagginess to it still, so I know that I need to just keep working it. You know, can you make pasta dough in the food processor? Absolutely. Can you make it in a stand mixer with a hook? Absolutely. I'll go as far as you could even make it in a stand mixer with the paddle. You know, you're going to get it to right around this point, and then you'll have to take it out and finish it by hand. And then let me just get this in. I'm going to wet my hands real quick. So off to this side. So no trickery, no TV magic here. I just wet my hands back on 2. So you can see it has this little surface, right? So with my wet hands, as I start to work the dough, you're going to see that just that little amount of moisture is sort of enough to get the dough, and I'm using the dough to sweep up all the rest of the flour bits. It's enough to just make the little tidbits cling, right? And so we're almost there, I promise you. This is going to get a whole lot more exciting in just a minute, but this is something that you guys should learn, because I want you to make fresh pasta at home. It is the most enjoyable thing. If you've never had fresh pasta for some odd reason, like if you're living in Kansas your whole life and you've been eating canned spaghetti with ketchup, then you need to make this happen, guys. All right, so we're looking good here. It's just a couple of little flour dingles hanging out around, and I'm just about there. I'm almost happy with where this dough is at. I'm gonna wet my hand one more time just to bring this thing together. Jose, did you jump the gun there, my bro? I think you pulled the trigger a little quickly, huh? All right. So, whoop, here we go. Up on one. Right. So I think you guys can see this now. It is turning more black, right? It has come together. Nothing's falling off of it. This is your massive dough, right? And then what you want to do is you want to wrap it in plastic wrap, and you want to let it rest. You could do 10 minutes, you could do 20 minutes. Room temperature is fine. And what it does is it hydrates the dough. That's a key trick in scratch pasta making, is hydrating all that flour. And you could see, I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek of the dough that I made earlier. So this is a little TV magic for you guys. You see the color of this bad boy? I mean, we're close here. This is like a rock, right? Like a slate gray. This is that jet black dough. It's been rested. It's perfectly hydrated. This has been kneaded as well. So after you get to that point of the dough, you let it rest, then you can start kneading it. You can knead dough for a good 5 full minutes, and it's going to be smooth. You know your pasta dough is ready to go when it's nice and smooth. Like a baby's bottom. So that's pasta dough, guys. I know we've rocked it again. If I bored you, my apologies, but I wanted to make sure everybody saw it. This one's just a tad bit different, and this is squid ink, so it's jet black dough. I think it's gonna look super cool. If you are trying to flavor your pasta, it takes a ton of any seasoning or vegetables to make it affect the flavor. So visual cues, to make it look cool, are always fun. And so now, my man Jose, let's take a look at the inspiration that led me to this dish, because I knew I wanted to make the pho, so I headed out to my local Vietnamese market. Well, let's take a look. All right. So that's what kind of goes along in my head. When I'm trying to create a dish, I kind of ran you down the 1, 2, 3s of it all. We wanted to sort of take tortellini in brodo and make it more, say, summery for warm weather. And so the idea of pho, or Vietnamese soup, popped in my mind, and I wanted to put that together. I've had pho, a couple hundred times in my life. It's super delicious. If you've never had a bowl of pho, I recommend you seek out your local Vietnamese restaurant and order up a bowl. Start with a small because it's pretty big. It's a meal. It comes layered. I like to get the duck billette, which is like the house special. Comes with a bunch of different like cooked meats. It's usually got like a brisket that's braised real nice. It's got like some shank bone or some shins. It's got the tendon. It's got some tripe, some stomach, and it's amazing. And then this really, really light broth. So I made a broth from the bones. We're going to show you that in a sec. But I wanted to show you I went out to the Vietnamese market. I got all my ingredients. You saw me going down the aisles with my cart. The little wheel was broken, so it was going. I wasn't sure it was going to make it down the aisle, but we made it, guys. We made it. So let's go back down to C2. Yep. So this is what was left on the short rib bones. It may be a little tough to see just because there's a lot of brown in here, but brown food is delicious. It smells amazing. This is just beef short rib in its own juices, and it's the onions that cooked with it. And then I found this stuff, which is like the secret to Vietnamese umami. We just call it Maggi. It does have a little bit of MSG, and it is about this color. The bottle is darkened, but we're going to use this as like our salt. So we just put some dashes in here to sort of bring salinity. And then again on the umami tip, we have some of this amazing fish sauce. You can't get away from Vietnamese food without some fish sauce. So we put a little in here. This is aged in bourbon barrels. It's quite delicious. And then I'm gonna throw in some of this. This is sawtooth or culantro. It's also used in Latin cuisine. I'm just gonna put a couple of leaves in because I'm gonna put this back on the stove. And then this is sambal. This is a lot like sriracha, but it has the seeds in it, and it has a little garlic. So I'm just gonna give it a little teaspoon for some heat. And then this is gonna end up being our filling. Another cool thing, this is fried garlic. It's one of my favorite products. I always keep it like this on the counter. You can, give a couple shakes on salads, any pasta dish. It takes away that harshness of raw garlic, but it has all the aromas of garlic, and it's quite good. And so this is going to be our filling, guys. This is going to go on the stove in the way back. I'll probably squeeze some lime in there. Back up on one. So that is chilling on the stove in the back. I've got my pasta water queued up, and we're gonna definitely make some pasta. I want to make sure that I run through making a couple of different shapes for you guys. But take a look at this this broth that I made with the short rib bones from the last episode. So a little bit of fabro though. I just want to check in. Let's make sure everybody's with us and following the flow of the show so far. So drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think so far. We did a little jet black dough. You guys saw some cappelletti being made by hand. Now you're seeing the inspiration behind how I create one of my dishes. When I create these dishes, it's like a one-off, right? This is it's not like a recipe you can open a book. It's just taking flavor memories that I have and applying them to traditional dishes. This isn't really like it's not like a fusion cuisine. All the flavors that we're sort of following here, the flavors are Vietnamese through and through. The idea or the technique is Italian. So that's where we're putting the two together. I like to think of it as sort of like cerebral cuisine. It's something that I've always done. I don't know, I don't want to call it my style, but it's just like it's a Jeremiah Bullfrog thing. And so I wanted to run you guys through it. We're doing NoodleHead 2. First time was a lot of noodles, and round 2, Ravioli boy needs to get his revenge, so we're doing stuffed pasta. It's a little warm outside, so again, to lighten it up, we're taking a new rendition on it. So I've showed you the pasta dough. I showed you a bit of the filling, and we'll run through a couple of different variations on fillings as well. The truth of the matter is, stuffed pasta, you can almost do any filling. If you have some cooked meats, some stewed meats, or the meat from sauce, you can pull that. If you want to go Italian, you add a little Parmesan to that. Sometimes an egg helps to bind it together. Some tips and tricks on it is you don't want your filling to be too wet. You can certainly do like a spinach or like a Swiss chard, and you can cook it. And then after all of your greens are cooked, you sort of wring out all the excess moisture. Your filling for stuffed pasta should be sort of dry. If it gets too wet, it's gonna like leak onto the pasta, and that's a no bene. Huh? So guys, drop it in the comments. Let me know you're alive. Let me know what you think so far of NoodleHead 2. Do you guys think Ravioli Boy is going to get his revenge? Are there some certain shapes of stuffed pasta you want to see other than we're going to do cappelletti? It's sort of a variation of tortellini. Did you guys get a glimpse of the old tortelli? So the next step of this process is I'm going to start rolling out some dough. The machine is the machine's a bit loud, I'm not going to lie. I've got a cool little motor on my sheeter that leaves my hands free for sipping cocktails and such. This is a good one. And so I just want to just start getting my hands into it, guys. We're gonna take the jet black dough, and we're gonna sheet it out. So Jose, let's go back down to 2. Yep, there we are. I just moved a couple of things around, so let me get my bearings. So here's our beautiful dough, right? It's nicely supple. It has been kneaded and rested and kneaded. So you could see, no real bounce back there. The glutens have had a chance to relax. And so what we want to do is we don't need this whole thing right now, right? So we just take a little piece of the dough, and when you're making stuffed pasta, you want to make sure you take the big chunk of your dough, and you want to keep it wrapped up in plastic. This plastic is going to keep the dough nice and moist. It won't dry out, right? And then so here's our little piece, right? It's not sticking to the board. It's not sticking to my hands. You could see sort of how smooth it is. I'm just flattening out a bit by hand before I start going into the machine. And then on the machine, you want a pasta roller. You can certainly get like a hand crank machine that works perfectly. I just have this little attachment on it, and it lets you crank pasta easier. Can you guys all see what's going on? Because I'm gonna start going, and you're not gonna be able to hear much. We're gonna run the widest setting to about 6 or 7, and then we're gonna see if I can see our hands through this dough. Jose, are we looking good, my man? Okay, let's go. So here we go. Back up on 1 real quick. So you guys can see what we have started here. It's sort of becoming a thinner sheet. Now, what I want to do is this is real nice and smooth. It doesn't need to be kneaded anymore by the machine, because the machine does help knead your dough as well. Is that we want to square it off and make it real nice. So back down to 2. Is that I'm just going to sort of like fold this over, and I'm going to tuck this guy in sort of like that, and then back in on the widest setting again. So now what you could do is, this is just about the same size as your machine as far as the width. I'm just going to take this little tail off here, and I'm going to take this little tail off here. That's just to get a perfect sheet of pasta through the machine. I'm going to go back on the machine through the widest setting. We're still on this machine is 0. Alright, so I like what we're looking at here. I'm going to start putting it through number by number. We're going up in numbers and thinner. So the rollers push together. So that was 0. Here we go on 1. Oh boy. Guys, I think we're having a little technical difficulties here. So I'm just going to move the machine over. And I'm just going to keep cranking away. We're taking the sheet and we're going through the cycles. So back on it. Right, so now at this point, good thing we bothered lighting Cam 2 really nicely for Cam 2 to die in the middle of the stream, But, you know, that kind of thing happens. Again, it's a live show. Let's roll with the punches. If anybody's still with me, drop it in the comments. Let me know you're live, please. We're doing all this work. Want to make sure you're entertained. So I still haven't added any flour to this dough. You can see you can kind of start to see the shape of my hand, but you can't see my hand just yet. And so we're going to keep going through. We're going up to 6 right now. Jose, you know what? Show me something while I work on Cam 2, because I want to make sure everyone sees this pasta getting stuffed real quick.
I like to go for walks early in the morning. It's good for my health, and it's great for social distancing. I get this question a lot. Mars, what motivates you to get up and walk in the mornings? Making these videos for you all. I can't sit still. Health concerns. It's nice. It's quiet out. Ain't getting any younger. You're only getting older. I do it for Johnny. You get the mind working. I want to die from fresh air. I just like looking at stuff. Oh, you really seen a lot looking into that stupid camera. This nigga got jokes. Shut up. I've always dreamt of being a mail carrier. What do you call a woman pregnant with a male baby? A female mail carrier. Stupid. What motivates you? What motivates you? It's a good question. And I had to think about it. I've been thinking. Beyonce, you gotta force yourself. Honestly, it's true though. I walk because I love myself. Love. And you should love yourself too. So, keep walking and keep loving yourselves, right? Cool.
Hey kids, I'm at the NoodleHead. Let's make us some pasta. A bibele buppe.
Here you go. Tummy feeling hostile, craving for some pasta. Never made your own, well trust the chef's gotcha. Take a deep breath, pour a glass of wine. Check in with the lesson from a good friend of mine.
Shout out to Mars Timms. Shout out to Nathan Cotter again on the original song. Sorry about that, guys. These things happen. It's a live show. So here we are with the sheet. I stopped at number 6 on my machine, and I feel like you can see my hand just enough through it, so it's thin enough. It's going to make a nice, delicate shape. Let's test Cam 2. Are we back? There it is. Okay. And so now what we're going to do is just shape these little cappelletti, these teeny hats. I put a little flour down on the board. So here's the little thing on the pasta is I like to keep the side that's facing up here. I don't like to put any flour on that. It's just going to help it stick when we shape it. I'm going to punch out rounds. You can certainly do squares here if you don't have a round cutter. But I like the look of these cappelletti when the shape starts as a round. And so we punch this out. You could save this, right? No waste, 0 waste in the kitchen. And so you could see these bad boys slide around real easily on the board. That's very, very important. And then I went ahead and made the filling, and I put it in this nice little piping bag. It just keeps your hands cleaner. And these things don't take a lot of filling. It's about, I'd call this like a hazelnut size piece of filling on this. You don't want to overstuff your pasta because then when it cooks, the filling does tend to sort of like push out. If you need a little extra glue here to seal this, and you'll know after you make like one or two. You can keep a nice little paintbrush, and you just paint around like the outside to keep it moist. You don't want to work with too many of these at once until you get good at it. So to flatten out our filling there a bit, you want it to sit like right in the middle, basically. And we're folding over. So we have like a half moon shape here, and we're pushing out all the air. You know, if your dough doesn't want to come up, I like to use a little spat like that. And then over again. So we've got these beautiful half moons coming together. Right? Watch how cool this is going to get. So this could be like an empanada. You could cook these like this and call it a ravioli or a media luna. And then here's the thing with the old cappelletti. I'm going to use my paintbrush one more time and just get that little piece. So what we're doing is we're taking these two ends and we're going to fold them together like this. And then you get these teeny little hats, right? Kind of cool, right, guys? So again, show you one more time. Gonna use my paintbrush and just get that little corner there. And again, fold it over. Boom. Got a hat. You guys with me here? What do you guys think? Can you rock out some cappelletti in your kitchen? So if you wanted to cheat, right, I'm not gonna say, you know, you can't. If you bought like wonton wrappers from an Asian market and you flatten them out a bit, you could most certainly make this shape right here. I made a couple earlier, so we're gonna add all these. What do you guys think of the old squidding cappelletti? This is filled with that beautiful short rib filling. It's seasoned very much like a Vietnamese pho, and it's gonna get finished with all the accoutrements as well. So let's go back on one. All right. So we've got an awesome pasta shape for you guys. I've got an amazing broth. My broth is hot. I've got a ton of little baby garnishes. Lenny on that glue, it's just water. You could use egg wash, but you know, I'm cheap. So just a little water on the paintbrush that keeps the dough just moist enough to stick together. Michael, yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. So that's it on the stuffed pasta. Brian is asking a bunch of stuff. Let's see. Yeah, man, you could definitely use the stand mixer. You know, for me, it's a big mixer. I don't feel like cleaning it. I like to use my hands. I love making stuff with my hands. The Lord bless me with these tools. Let me put them to work. So that's the gist of it. You know, you could overheat your dough in a mixer. It is possible. With your hands, it's not. You know, an egg dough for stuffed pasta, it's very, very delicate. And so you don't want to overmix it. On the pressure cooked bro, though, I actually did 90 minutes on that broth. You can extrapolate all that marrow. When you pull those bones out, you could see the inside is sort of like falling apart. If you were to cook it in a big stock pot on the stove, you could go 6 hours. You could leave it overnight. You know, on that kind of thing, the more the merrier. You can just hammer away on what now the kids call bone stock, right? Bone broth. So there it is on the stuffed pasta. We made some dough. On the filling for this, this is just that really, really fine chopped ribbed meat. with the broth. And then you saw me add the Maggi seasoning, a little bit of sambal, a little fried garlic. You could do anything on your filling, guys. You know. Hat tip to Michelle for the use of pun. It looks phenomenal. Forget about it, huh? So guys, I'm gonna start taking it to the plate. We have this beautiful dish from FOH, my local homies. Shout out to you. Shout out to Jago. Appreciate it. Yeah, Lenny, that's a 3-inch round cutter. You can go big and you can go small. I got these fat fingers, so it's a little harder for me to make the real teeny ones. Sometimes you can make tortellini that fit on your pinky. So guys, there it is. Soup to nuts on stuffed pasta. And now I think what a lot of people have really been waiting for is, let's see if Ravioli Boy gets his revenge. Pew 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 pew. Huh? What do you guys think? The return of Ravioli Boy and Farfalle Girl. I'm just getting all my garnishes together. We're gonna put together another little chefy plate for everybody. Let's take a look down on Cam 2 real quick. Yep, okay, cool. So I've got all these really cool little micro veg again from Fresh Origins, the homies out in Cali. I wanted to mimic all the Vietnamese flavors, so we have some what we call Thai basil. It's just a little spicier. And we have these amazing coriander buds. Go up on one real quick. So this is one of my favorite. This is super, super cool. It smells exactly like cilantro. It's the seed of the coriander plant before it blooms, and you can eat the whole thing. It doesn't have that hard husk. Down to 2 again. This is a little mint. This is mint with a hint of lime flavor. It is also quite delicious. I've got this micro lemongrass. This is the beginning stages of lemongrass. This little blade tastes exactly... My God. It tastes like a lemon. I've got these beautiful... These are little teeny onions. You can eat the whole thing. This is the scallion part. And here's the bulb that I went ahead and just sliced paper thin. And then just to bring up the color, I've got this, what they call midnight basil. It's like an opal basil. So my water is boiling up on one. Back up on one. Yep, there we go. So water is boiling. I'm just going to drop my tortelli in. I like to cut the heat so it's not a rapid boil. I've got this handy dandy basket. And in we go. It only takes like 30 seconds to a minute because this filling's already cooked. So as our pasta cooks, Ira, the fried garlic is from the Vietnamese market that you saw me take the tour of. Michael, on the little teeny garnishes, this is Fresh Origins from California. There's a couple of like third-party people that you can get these Fresh Origins from. If I remember, I'll let you know. If not, I'll try to put it in the link. But if you do a quick search, you can find Fresh Origins through a third-party distributor. this is the chefy stuff. So guys like me get to play. And we're gonna build a dish, guys. I want to show you, how it comes together in my mind to plate. I tried to hit all those. Notes. So my pasta's coming up. I'm just gonna give it a quick little test. It still needs another minute. So the cool thing on the stuffed pasta is you get a couple of different textures. Here is a little very, very, very beautiful thin sliced ribeye beef. And so if you've ever had pho, it's kind of like got that shabu shabu vibe. You get a little raw meat that then when you stir it up in the broth, it gets cooked. So here's my inspiration. This is a nice little fatty meat. So that goes down. And I'm gonna just hit it with just a touch of salt so I make sure it's delicious. When the broth hits this at the end, it's gonna bring it all together. Michael, on the Fresh Origins, yeah, do a quick search for Fresh Origins microgreens. There's a couple of third-party distributors that you guys as consumers can get them from. And so I'm coming out with my tortellonis. Here they are. Boom, boom, boom. Right out of the water bath. So here we go. Let's take it to the plate. We're going to put together this beautiful pho. So, I'm sorry, my cappellettis are cooked perfectly. It's going on this amazing FOH dish. And we've got a little bit of that raw beef that's down. And so we're just going to start to create these layers of flavor. And so when you eat it, the idea is that it's going to taste like pho, right? I've got these awesome little mung bean sprouts, and I just pickle these very, very quickly. And it's got these little bird chilies. You see the little chili in there? Adds a little heat. I've got a little lime juice in here for acidity. And these mung bean sprouts, they have that amazing sort of crunch. So here we go, guys. We're plating it up. We've got our cappelletti, and we're doing a play on tortellini and brodo, but with Vietnamese flavors of pho. So again, building. Let's add some nice lemongrass vibes here. So I'm making sure that each bite of this is going to be delicious. We can't forget our little teeny sliced onion. These are paper thin slices. You can see right through it. Let's do that on the beef. And so if you ever had pho, you know that this little sliced onion is such a huge part of the broth. It just kind of floats around everywhere, and you get that white onion bite. And so we want enough of this onion flavor to come across in our pho. Guys, I want to thank you all for hanging with me. I know we're pushing it just a bit past the hour, but I think you're going to all be pleasantly surprised with the payoff this evening. Let's rock out with these teeny little basil leaves. Super fragrant. My kitchen smells like a garden right now. This basil is quite amazing. And so enough basil for each bite. And so again, same idea when you're eating pho, you get the little plate of garnishes. I'm going in with this mint because it's amazing as well. Mint is a huge part of most Southeast Asian culture and the dishes in general, although you don't get it for pho. I thought it would work well here. I'm gonna go with some of this spicy green basil. And that's it, guys. We're just finishing it up. We're gonna hit it with our broth. We're gonna cook this meat. What do you guys think, huh? We got tortellini and brodo, but it's gonna have the flavor of pho. Tell me, drop it in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Are you with me? Who's hungry? Who's gonna try to make some stuffed pasta? Let me hear it. Little garlic to finish. A little bit of that fried garlic. Get a little crunch. And the piece de resistance. Let's go back up on one. Right, here's the dish. I've got this beautiful kettle full of the broth, and we're just gonna hit it. Oh yeah. There it is. Back down on 2 real quick. Can you see how that... I just hit it with that broth and it's already cooking that meat. What do you guys think? It smells amazing. It smells like pho in my kitchen. I am super excited. Back up on one. Oh man, I can barely tilt this sucker over, but I'm so excited to try this right now. Wow. Lights out. From my brain to the plate. Jeremiah Bullfrog rocking it out on the live stream. Cuts it up. Shouts to Jose for rocking with me. Thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate it.